Welcome to Miss V, the Storyteller podcast. You guys, I am excited again. I have someone that I met a few weeks ago, and her and I, we just mesh. She is a beautiful person. Her personality is like, oh my goodness, you would want to be her friend. We sat down and we talked and we chatted, and I'm like, I like her. Her name is Deshana, Detashia Coleman. Y'all know I'll mess up a name in a heartbeat. So y'all pray for me. Don't be over there judging me about these names. Y'all know I got issues. But Detashia Colman, I met her at SpeakerCon and we just clicked. So I'm excited to have her on the show today. Before we get into telling stories, she's going to share with us a little bit about herself. So, Natasha, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone, and I am so honored to be asked to be a guest on Miss V's Storytelling Time. I am a combat veteran, retired from the U.S. Navy after serving 20 years and 12 days. And of course, we always say 12 days because what a difference a day can make. I'm also an emerging entrepreneur. I am in the leadership space. And a part of what goes on with me is just really giving back to the community because a lot of what I do, just like with the military, is always giving back to humanities. I'm a student right now at the University of Maryland Global Campus studying for my Bachelor's of Science degree in social science because, again, being in the community space, I am the owner of Called2Nations Travel. I've been in the travel industry since 2015. I am also the owner of Launching Winners, which is my coaching and mentoring business that I have. And I'm also the owner of Springboard Institute of Champions International LLC, where I do the workshops, I do public speaking, customized coaching. And again, what I love to do in all of these spaces that I serve, and even as a minister of the gospel, is serving people and helping them be their best selves.
Oh, I love that. I love people who love to serve. And I like to serve too, but I can't serve in all situations because, woo. Ooh, this world has changed a lot. So you have to be anointed, appointed by God to serve everyone. So hands down to any person that's out there that serves, I love it. But what I love that about you, but also we can serve by sharing our stories because you all know how important it is to share your story. Because when you share your story, you're helping someone else. It's not for you to hold in your breast, oh, I don't want anybody to know all that. You can share a story in a way where you can help someone without telling all your business. So I love storytelling. I love when people come on the show and share their stories to uplift us, to inspire us. And that is what's going to happen today. So, Natasha, please go ahead and share your story.
Having served in the Navy 20 years and 12 days, while I was on active duty, one of the things that happened with me is that I got diagnosed with kidney disease at 26 years old. And most of us, we don't ask for chronic diseases when we're young. I was in the midst of looking at becoming an officer. And while I was doing my physical, protein started showing up in my urine. And then the doctors ended up doing a 24-hour protein, and we found out that my protein levels in my urine was very high. I went to have a biopsy done, and upon having that biopsy done, I was diagnosed with kidney disease at
Mhm.
26. A part of that for me, and being a woman of faith, was after I got that diagnosis, one of the things that I did was lean on my faith. And I
Mhm.
declared on that day that all sickness is not until death, and I will live to declare the works of the Lord. And I decided to, walk in my healing from that day. I eventually, and I'm going to fast forward even for that, is eventually when I did retire from the military, in 2012. I am then being seen at the VA hospital here in the DMV area, and I ended up getting an official diagnosis of lupus. Now,
What?
that kidney disease showed that it could have been lupus or connective tissue disease. lupus, and connective tissue disease. So you're talking about 1996 from having a kidney disease diagnosis to now it's December of 2014 with a definitive diagnosis of being a lupus warrior. I have been fighting that from that time up until then. And I still am a lupus warrior. Hence, my story sharing with you all is having invisible illnesses. And even though I was on active duty and I continued to serve and was able to successfully finish a 20-year career, that's not everybody's story. And now that I'm post retirement at 12 years later, because this past May made it 12 years that I've been a retired combat veteran. And I celebrate that where I'm still, as I tell people, protecting my peace and managing my health, my well-being, meaning
Mhm.
my health and my body, that I manage that. So my story is literally helping and encouraging people to live this life. Because those diagnoses came, I didn't know what my life would look like in the long run, but I did declare that I would live this life. All that I'm able to do, the people that I'm able to serve, that I'm doing that because I'm choosing to live this type of life. And all diagnoses don't, they do not have to limit you on the things that you do. And you have the ability to experience life, the life that you dream, and also the life that you envision. I got out of the military and decided I wanted to be a business owner. And that is the place and that is the thing that I'm pursuing. Is it apprehension with that? Yes, because I am always concerned, how will my health hold up? Will I be able to deliver? Will I feel better today and not feel as well tomorrow? Those are all those things that I've always been concerned about. But I'm here to encourage people to live this life. This life for me has taken me into a career in the military. I'm also a respiratory therapist by occupation. And so when I transitioned from the military, I was still able to do the work of a respiratory therapist. COVID, I was on the front line doing that work, living this life while I was also out there saving lives. And so that is a part of my story, is really being able to live with invisible illnesses and being able to embrace that, but also being able to push through that and being an example to other people that you can have the most amazing, adventurous experience in life by just living this life, not comparing it to anyone else, but also just living your life in the midst of my invisible illness, because I have been a combat veteran diagnosed with PTSD. And in the diagnosis of PTSD and the lupus, I decided that I would go and enter into pageantry. And I did that to combat the
Mhm.
PTSD and to help in the healing of being a lupus warrior, because it requires you to have to get up every day. It requires you to show up. It requires you to tap into your story, which is where we are right now,
Mhm.
tapping into your story to share with other people, to encourage them that you can live this life. And different diagnoses, different difficulties that we go through, the challenges that we go through, we get to choose how we want to live that life. And so that is my story of living with invisible illnesses, but also being able to live this life and the life you envision. If you want to start a business, if you want to get into pageantry, if you want to do travel, if it's places that you've ever wanted to see, you can do those. I'm a living, walking testimony that you can do that. And we also encourage people that it's never too late. As long as you're
Amen.
breathing, it's never too late for you to experience something. I share with our youth ministry 2 Sundays ago. I wanted to be a model when I was 12 years old. I didn't get the support from the family, but because that was something that I envisioned for my life, pageantry, I would have never thought that opened up a doorway for me to actually walk in New York Fashion Week in a fashion show as a model. So again, I'm here to share my story and say it's never too late. And don't allow the things that we think is a limitation that may make us nervous, may make you get anxiety, may make you doubt if you can actually be successful at something, to continue to move forward and live this life. Not the one someone else is doing, but
Mhm.
the one you're choosing to live.
Oh, I love that. And one of the things as I was listening, I love the fact that no matter what came your way, you were determined. And I thank God because you're such a great inspiration because there are people out there haven't been through half as much as you and they're crumbling and falling, but you're sitting before us and sharing those things that came at you, but you did not allow them to define you. As you were talking, it made me think about something that happened to me. The 23rd of December, I got really sick some years ago. This would be my 8th year. I celebrated um, every year, and I almost died. I was really sick, and I went to the emergency room immediately. They put me in the hospital. The next morning I had to have surgery, and it was during the holidays. I was in the hospital for Christmas, New Year's. I was there. But the thing about it, I love how God operates. I had no idea how sick I was.
Wow.
It wasn't until sometime later that my best friend said, when she came to visit me, she said immediately when I got in the car, I made some calls because she's a doctor, and
Mhm.
at the time, well, she's not a medical doctor, but she's a doctor, and she said I was just making phone calls. And I was like, oh my God, did I look that bad or was I that bad? And then I thought about the looks on certain people's faces when they came to see me. But God protected me. And I had no idea until later. And I think God did that because He didn't want me to give into the sickness. He wanted me to go through it and come out. And that's exactly what I did for the purpose that He set before me. This is your purpose. Your purpose is to be a storyteller. Your purpose is to help people to find their stories. So I just love the way God operates, how He puts things, whether it's a thought in our head or something to protect us, to
Mhm.
keep us moving forward so that we can walk in our anointing or whatever we're called to walk in. Um, a question that I love to ask, and for the most part, I do ask my guests is, when you look back during those times and diagnosis and all that, is there something specific that you learn? Like right now, you carry it with you. One of the things when I look back on that um, whole situation is to be an advocate for yourself, because when I share the story, I have the story is out there. It's on my podcast some time ago, and I share the story. But you have to be an advocate for yourself. When the
Mhm.
doctors kept telling me nothing was wrong, I kept saying something is wrong. My body is telling me something is wrong. And I fought for it. I just kept going. And I said, you know what? Forget the specialist. I'm going to my primary care doctor. And we sat there and talked. And she was the one that found the problem because I kept saying something was wrong. So for me, I learned to be an advocate for yourself. Do not allow people, if you know something is wrong, keep going until you get the answer. So, what did you learn when you look back to that time in your life?
What I learned for me is one, having amazing doctors. So I did have amazing doctors that listened. But what I also learned for myself is really leaning on my faith
Mm-hmm.
and leaning into your words. Because a lot of the times, um, we can speak things. So for me, it was speaking the fact that I would not ever have to go on dialysis. I will never have to go on prednisone. So
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking to my body, which is really one of the things, even now, when we talk about the mental health space, right? A lot of the things can be connected based on what we're telling ourselves, but also what are we doing to make sure that we are also taking accountability of our well-being. So at that time, I learned to be able to lean into my faith and to be able to speak words over my own self. Even now, it's great that we're storytelling. A lot of people only now are starting to hear my story because I did hold it. I
Mhm.
had my close circle, but understanding that it's my words sometimes, my words, and sometimes what we believe. And then having people around you that are believing life, right, as well
Yes.
versus the other things. Having been in medicine for over 26 years as a respiratory therapist, we get to see, the opposite of living. But for me, the thing that I learned then was speaking life into my own life
Hmm.
so that I may be here after the age of 50 saying I'm living this life. It may not have been what I thought, meaning I didn't think I would end up with kidney disease. I don't feel that I did anything that should have been, but it was found randomly. So in the midst of that, since it was found, I decided to use what I call the redemptive words. So even though this is what the doctors are saying, this is what I believe with my faith.
I love that because words are so powerful. And the tongue, it talks about the tongue, how you can speak life or death into a situation. And again,
Absolutely.
that goes back to my situation. I really believe that's why God did not allow me to know how sick I was,
Mhm.
because I could have given into it and I didn't. I was laughing and joking when people came in. I had tubes coming all out of me. I
Wow.
made jokes about things,
Yeah.
but God really, I know it was God. So when you, because I think one of the things that you said that you do, is one of the things you say you do where you mentor and you talk to people. Yes, it was the mentoring piece. I want to ask you something. If you go back to your 12-year-old self, or you see someone that's 12 years old,
Hmm.
what would you tell yourself, or what would you tell a 12-year-old? Like, there's been times when I've seen somebody really young and I see myself in that person. I
Yeah.
mean, I literally see me. I'm like, oh my God, that is a 12-year-old me. And I go right in and I share with them. What would you share with that person?
The one thing for me at 12 years old, I always remember telling my mom that I was never getting married and I was going to be with her. But then the other part that I know at 12 years old was I used to always tell myself, I can do anything I put my mind to.
Mhm.
And that means whatever you're thinking about and whatever's being given to you in your mind or in your thoughts. Because a lot of the times at 12 years old, we have an idea of how we want our lives to
Mhm.
be. I knew I wanted to travel and see the world. So I also said I wanted to travel and see the world. We can put those things out there, but not necessarily knowing the journey that it's going to take. So
Mhm.
to my 12-year-old self, and even to those youth that I come across now, it's that whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Whatever you're choosing to do in life, you can do it. You may not be able to do it all at the same time, but if you're doing it, you'll be able to get to those places. And the other part about it is, as I shared earlier in the story, as long as you're living, it's never too late.
Oh,
And
I
that's the
love
part is
that.
that we're sometimes in a rush to get to a certain place and not understanding it's a journey along the way, because the journey along the way is what we're learning in our lessons to actually get in life, to go back to what I said, live this life, right? So just taking their time, but also knowing that you can get there. So whatever you believe or whatever you dream for your life, you can do it.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. And something you said a little bit earlier, when we were talking, also, it's not what you say, it's also what your mindset, what you think about yourself, what you think about the situation, how you think is so key. And even right now, God is really helping me with that because I'll have a negative thought to come in and I'm like, oh no, 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 we're not doing that today. And I shut it down. I've been, really reading and thinking and talking about how the mindset, because it's so key. What we think, we become. What we say, we become. So that is so important. Not only what you speak, but also what you think. Now, I'm looking at a healed woman. I
Yeah,
know that you are healed. You have so many things going on. So, we're about to end this year and we're going into 2025. What are you looking forward to in 2025? Do you have plans? What is that thing like? I am looking forward to being 100% full-time entrepreneur in 2025. That is my goal. That is what I'm going to do. Speaking those words.
absolutely. And guess what? I'm in agreement with you on that because that is my 2025 goal as well. Is not only just being full-time entrepreneuring, but also making sure that we're creating the wealth that
Yes.
goes with that. Because we could be in the space, but my thing is creating the wealth, being able to give back in other spaces that I so have a desire to do as a philanthropist in the social entrepreneur space. So for 2025, for me, is really having my schedule in that entrepreneurial space. So I'm in the financial space with helping persons plan their retirement, annuities, helping us create those tax-free buckets is what we call it, helping our families in the communities, making sure that we're ready for being able to take care of our families, for especially for our community. I'm also continuing to pursue my education. I will also be pursuing where I met you, GSU. So I am in pursuit of my speaker certification. That again, this will be a space that will continue to use our voice. So I'm looking forward to being able to get myself credentialed, continuing my education, but also using all what God has called me to actually better our communities and better our world, that we can be prepared for life. Because even in the financial space, we expect most people, hopefully even ourselves, will live past the age of 80, but making sure that we have the resources
Mhm.
that are necessary for us to be able to do that and live it to the best of our ability. So
Oh,
those are three of the things that, because like you say, there's layers. And it's so funny when I talk to people about all that I do, it all comes back to one thing: serving people, making people
mhm.
better, educating people, giving them the tools to actually launch their lives in the direction of their next win.
Oh, I love that. I love the fact that you have more than one thing. I have more than one thing, but I believe that you're going to do it because even as you're speaking it, we can see it, like literally see it. Like this girl, she is going to do this.
Thank
She
you,
is
honey.
going to, and we're going to touch and agree
Yeah.
through this podcast that
Yes,
it's going to
yes.
happen for us because we're speaking it even now. So if someone's out there and they're listening and they just love your story and they want to connect with you, please share, give us your information. If you have books, classes, courses, whatever you have, please share with us so that we can connect with you and support you.
Well, I am an author in two books as a co-author. One of them is called I Am She, Lioness Amplified. You can find that on Amazon. And in that is where we use our voice. And the I Am She is I am the saved, the healed expression. So it's rather interesting that I'm here before you all as that expression that is healed and I was saved. The second book is 1973, started on a Monday. You can also find that on Amazon, and that is me with other co-authors that turned 50 years old last year. And it's just us sharing our story on this journey to 50 and how did we get there. Some of us, when at least for myself, when I wrote, it was a cathartic opportunity to really share pain points through the journey to 50, but also knowing that, you're standing in your purpose because of some of the pain that you went through. And the last piece of this is if you want to follow me on my social media, you can find me on on IG and on Facebook at I am Detashia, Detashia. And if you're looking to have coaching, whether you're looking to pivot in your
Mhm.
personal life or in your professional life. I am here to provide those services to you as well for you to live this life while we're launching you in the next direction of your win. And you can find me at my website, which is launchingwinners.com.
I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be supportive. I will make sure that everything is in the show notes. So if you want to connect with her, you want to purchase a book, if you're even curious to know more of her story, get the anthologies, get the book so you can read a little bit more about her. And then once you know about her, you connect with her, then you can get some coaching. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we want to support her. Make sure you look down at the notes, connect with her, follow her. We want to be there to make sure that your goals in 2025 are met. So thank you for being on the
Um,
podcast. Thank you for sharing your story and being such a positive light. I love that about you. So
I
positive.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me and allowing me to even share my story. Because as a veteran, that is the thing that many of us have to learn how to do is share our stories because that is also a part of our healing journey. So I appreciate the opportunity to just share and use my voice on today. Thank you, Gloria.
So